Welcome to Who Put This On, Season 5, Episode 15, where we watch World's Toughest Race, Eco Challenge Fiji. I'm Chris Lorenz.
This is Brian.
Robert Getz.
This is VJ.
Welcome back, VJ. This is your first time listening. We do a different reality show each week and critique, make fun of, decide how good or bad it is based on the episode we watched. And this week, we watch Amazon Prime's new reality show. Rob, why don't you give us a description on this one?
From the creator of Survivor, 66 teams descend upon Fiji to compete in the most epic global adventure race ever attempted. Bear Grylls hosts this 11-day expedition that pushes competitors to their physical and emotional limits. For the veteran teams, the goal is to win. But for most, the dream is to finish and prove to themselves and the world that they can prevail in the World's Toughest Race. That's World's Toughest Race, Eco Challenge Fiji on Amazon Prime.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, so this is some sort of just kind of race. We're watching people race, along with getting to know the teams and their sob stories, as we love on American reality TV. And we go from checkpoint 1 to like checkpoint 0 to kind of checkpoint 2. Some people made it to checkpoint 5, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because there was like a whole loop thing. We'll get into that.
Yeah. So
Checkpoint 5 is the last one we saw. That's where the medallion was.
I thought that was like checkpoint 6 or like not a checkpoint. Hey, we'll get into that. Doesn't matter. Stupid. We don't need to get into the minutia about it right now.
Yes, you are stupid.
How dare you? I'm going to mute you. You're off the podcast. Yeah, so this is like a Nets race, guys. They're just in Fiji, just like trekking through the jungle like as fast as possible.
Yeah, like I feel like seeing Amazing Race and the shit they have to do on that, like they ramped it up to like 11. Like that Amazing Race is 1.
Amazing Race is like if you like a toddler version of this.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, go from here to here. We get your plane tickets. We'll get you there so we can show this. Like, no, this is just Fiji. You go. You were in the jungle in the middle of the night. You go try to like navigate through this like water and like for 12 hours. Like, it's nuts.
And no tech or anything to help.
Yeah, it's these people are insane.
I think that's kind of part of like just society in general now, where people are just learning more about these niche things. Where like Amazing Race, who knows, maybe Amazing Race was based on this, and they were like, hey, what do we need to take from this to make it into like a show that is like reasonable for the average person to watch? But now, because we have like all these streaming services, they're like much more willing to show niche stuff on like the internet. And so they're like, yeah, now we can show the real thing. We don't have to like show the watered down Amazing Race version of this.
I think this is to one of Rob's usual points, is that like the Amazing Race was so like is so structured that it's like how fast can you run, how fast can you solve a puzzle, or like this is how fast can you do like an endurance challenge. It's very freeform versus like the constricted, like we're shooting this TV show with all these logistics. We got to get these people from here, like follow these people with these cameramen and like set up all these flights. So there's just like, they don't have thousands of people to like do as freeform as they can do in this show, seemingly.
So I have a question. So this is season 1 on Amazon Prime, but like Eco Challenge was a show before. Did anyone else heard of the show before watching this today?
No.
I've heard of the Eco Challenge. The Eco Challenge, I don't know if it's always a show. I think it's just a race that they do occasionally.
At least one year they did a show. And this was, so I remember this was back right after Survivor first premiered, because it's Mark Burnett was originally behind the Eco Challenge. And I heard about it in the context of, oh, this is the guy to Survivor's other show that's not very well known. And the key thing they want to say is in the first episode, someone pees in a river and there's a leech that if you pee, it follows the pee up. And that's bad news. And so that was that's my previous history with Eco Challenge, was learning about a leech that goes up your urethra.
All right.
So I looked it up on Wikipedia real quick. It said that it was on TV from April 95 to April 2002, whereas Amazing Race starts in 2001. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I think like they tried like putting the real race on TV. They're like, this doesn't really work for people at home. We got to make it more structured, make it more like a TV show. And now they're like, you know what? Dial it up.
Is Mark Burnett involved with Amazing Race? Or is that different people?
I don't know.
You're definitely right. Like I totally thought Amazing Race would have been first.
For VJ, the Internet Corner, was the Eco Challenge before the TV show, or was it created for the TV show?
Unclear. And this one, it says Eco Challenge Expedition Race is a multi-day expedition length adventure race. Originally aired on TV 95 to 2002.
They did mention like the last one was in 2002, right?
Yeah. So I think it was always a TV show. I think it was just some TV show they put on. Like, this is pre-Survivor, sort of proto-reality show. And then there's Vita's point, like, it didn't really work in the late 90s. And now they're trying it again and see, and maybe it doesn't work either, but you know, we're watching it. Who knows who else is watching it?
In our, like, if we look at like past reality shows, like this would be one of the first ones if we would consider it a reality show, which seems a little, I mean, it is, because the producer set this thing up and like let them go and film them. But like in the grand scheme of things, it's almost like a documentary because it's a race and you're just following these people in a race. But there aren't that many reality shows before 1995.
Just to be clear, Wikipedia says that. So like it says Eco Challenge is generally regarded as the genesis for modern day reality television.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's what I was trying to get to, is like you've got Real World, which starts slightly before 1995. But like Survivor doesn't start till 2000. You can't imagine that this wasn't like a inspiration for Survivor.
Oh, this is definitely an inspiration for Survivor and Amazing Race. You know, like,
Totally.
Did someone say what they saw it described somewhere as Survivor meets Amazing Race, which I don't think is totally accurate, but like you can see how someone who had this got, you know, we're able to say, like, let's do a different show that turns into Survivor. Let's do a different show that turns into Amazing Race.
I think that's just the marketing that Amazon pushed at me. Like,
oh yeah,
I don't think it was like something I made up.
No,
like,
I wasn't saying you made it up. I was saying you saw it somewhere.
Yeah. But yeah, so like in that aspect, I mean, this clearly isn't the 1995 version of the show. We're watching the 2020 version of the show, which is like involves the normal American like sentimentality of just like sob stories and getting into people's like backstories and finding what's interesting about somebody. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but like I can't imagine 1995 had all of that. Like that seems very much like a modern American TV sensibility.
Well, it's like an NBC Olympics kind of thing, but I doubt the original one in 1995 had all this stuff. Yeah,
maybe in like a throwback month, we could go back and watch the original because I think that would be really interesting.
You know what else they didn't have? Bear Grylls.
I was just gonna say we got to talk about Bear Grylls. Bear Grylls, the host of the show, providing his usual nothing to this. It's just like saying the obvious all the time, repeating himself, just kind of like being there.
And just looking hot as usual, Chris. That's all he's good for.
Hey, he jumped out of a helicopter. What more do you want?
He did do a backflip out of a helicopter, so I'll give him that. He did more than nothing, but up to that point, it was like the team's in first place. It just says first place on the screen, and then it'd be Bear Grylls like, that team's in first place. I'm like, thanks, Bear Grylls.
I will say, I don't think he got the coin out of the water. I think that was a dive dummy. Dive double.
You think that he didn't do the backflip?
I think he did the backflip. I think that, like, that's just the bare minimum he's gonna do, or the maximum he's gonna do, and then everybody else did the work.
I think he does the backflip, and then like there's a boat down there. Then they set up the next scene. Like it's not like backflip right in to get this medallion.
I just think he's gonna stop there.
Do you think he actually did the backflip, or do you think it was a stunt double for the backflip too?
It could have been, but I thought I saw his face. Like I noticed that. Like
Mm.
I was looking for his face during the diving part, and it wasn't there.
Mm,
I don't know,
see.
maybe. We gotta go back. We have to go back and see. Like, I was surprised he did that backflip.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. Right into us if you think Bear Grylls actually did it or not. So, like, what is the history of Bear Grylls here? Does anyone really know? We need an internet corner on Bear Grylls.
No, well, like he had like
He was
Man
in
vs.
that.
Wild, and then the garbage spin-off You vs. Wild, which you which you had on this show.
You did do You versus Wild, the Netflix choose your own garbage show.
So
But, like,
Wikipedia
apparently-
says he became widely known for his television series Man vs. Wild.
yeah, he also has climbed Everest.
Cool.
I mean, that's definitely a feat, but not a feat as like, if you said he climbed K2, I'd be like, oh man, that's intense.
Yeah. Like
Chris is just hating on climbing Everest right now. Is
Yeah. He's got all those Sherpas with him. You think he
He-
really climbed it by himself? No way.
Here's the thing about his climbing Everest, though. I think there's a little bit of difference there. Firstly, he did it in '98 when a lot less people than today had done it. Secondly, he was among the youngest people to have achieved this feat at that point. There was some debate as if he was the youngest Briton or not. And
I mean, I'll give you that he did it in 1998. So like, it's like if you did it this year or last year, like it's becoming kind of like a touristy thing to kind of come and try. If you're like you can't be like unathletic and do it, but it's much easier nowadays from what I can tell.
it is definitely far more popular. I don't know what easier. It is definitely far more popular to do, which goes back to my earlier comment of like, I think like all these niche things are more available to people, and hence the show has been brought back because people are more willing to like see these things because they're more into these things to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I
people are more
definitely-
into these things or if it's just the value of a smaller audience that's into a very niche thing is higher now.
Ooh, that's a good point,
That's-
Rob.
I think it's a combination of both though. Like I think like the fact that more people are willing to like try out Eco Challenge, for example. I bet you like today there's more people out there who are willing to try out Eco Challenge than there were when it originally aired in '95.
That's
I
true.
don't know. To Rob's point is like, if you look at ratings in 1995, like if you had a 1, like in a TV rating, which is like 1 million people watched you in 1995, you're canceled. Like there's like 1 is garbage. Like, but
Yeah, so
1
the
today
opportunity
is
cost
like
was
a
too
hit
high.
show.
Right, because the opportunity cost was too high at that point, right? Because like you like you were put on primetime TV, you could put like a rerun and it would have a rating of 7, and then you have a 1, so it's like, oh fuck, I might as well just put the rerun on, it'll be free.
Yeah,
But like
that's-
they're not giving out that much money. The winners only get 100K here, which like, I mean, it's no small amount of money, but for like such a high budget show on like Prime Video, like it's clearly not a lot of money.
I mean, like 100K is more than a lot of shows we watch. But
Which I always like, but like winning team has 5 members. They're getting 20K each, and that's it.
I thought it was 4 members.
They all have like this assistant crew member who helps them at the camps. I just found that out as well.
Oh,
We hadn't really gotten to that in our episode.
yeah. I didn't even know they got money. I thought that was just like you won the race and you get like props for winning. Like I didn't even know there was a prize.
You get a fist bump from Bear Grylls, and then that's the prize.
You get a signed photo with Bear Grylls. Yeah. So I mean, Bear Grylls is Bear Grylls. Like he's whatever. He's not doing the race. Let's
So
talk
Bear
about
Grylls, because this is in Fiji, they must have had Bear Grylls like full time there for the whatever 10, 15, 20 days, whatever it is, right? And yet they show so little of him. So that seems weird as well. Because like, generally I would have said like, oh yeah, they just had him show up for like a couple of days and then call it a day. But like he must have been there the whole time. Like it's not like they're constantly flying in and out of Fiji.
And
Well,
he's got to be there for the 11 days.
Right.
Yeah, with a lot of popcorn to eat from the helicopter.
like after he was there when they first set off. After that, we never see him with any of the contestants, right?
No,
But I
we
bet
do.
you we'll see him every day of the race. Oh, you're saying they like post-produced it to like have him there, but he's not actually there?
he was
Was
at
it
some of
like-
the checkpoints. He was at like checkpoint 2 or something.
Oh yeah, he was at checkpoint. He was at checkpoint 1, and he was like, "Hey, how come you didn't use the sail and stuff?" You're right. He there was that. Okay,
Like,
so
I-
I rescind my comment. I forgot about that part.
Like, I'm shitting on Bear Grylls, but he seems super excited about this.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know if that's like something his character manufactures this like exaltation or not, but like I don't know. It seems like he actually wants to be here and watch these people. Like I don't think there's any like flying him anywhere or like he's obviously probably pampered, but he seems to really be interested in seeing who wins this race.
Yeah, I mean he's an adventure man, so like why wouldn't you want to see like people take on this like crazy ass adventure? I think he should compete with it.
He should. All right, let's get into the actual race here. So we have 671 kilometers over 11 days, and this is all through like the islands of Fiji. This includes like it starts out with them on like these canoes where they have to do like a ton of rowing / sailing to like some mini island is what we saw, and then they did like some more sailing to around to another island and did like a jungle trek. And like most people didn't finish the jungle trek, but one team did. Team New Zealand finished that jungle trek. And there's 11 checkpoints throughout this whole adventure, I guess. And we saw 5 of them.
I think there's more than 11 checkpoints. I think there's like
That's
30
what they said,
checkpoints.
11. I
11
assume there'd be
days.
more.
31 checkpoints like in the whole race.
Okay. Oh, maybe it's just 11 until like the first like cutoff. So like if you don't make it
Oh, maybe
somewhere
that's-
within the
yeah.
first 3 days,
Right.
you're eliminated from the race. And so like a lot of the teams' goals are just to finish the race. And there's some teams obviously trying to win, but they like to focus on the ones that are just trying to finish the race. We'll get into some of them, I guess. Which is, I like that aspect where there's like, there's something you're racing toward. That's not just the end.
Yeah. So there's 66 teams,
30 countries.
30 countries, 22 of the teams are American.
22,
Yeah.
because we got introduced to like 7, I think. 7 USA teams and like 2 other country teams. So I'll go through the ones that I have and we can go over their stories. We've got Team Onyx. They are the black team, essentially. They've come out and said that they were the black team, and they have a guy that's the Speedo guy. He has a different Speedo for each day of the race. So hopefully there's nothing that's gonna like no ticks or anything that's gonna come out at him while he's out in the middle of the jungle.
This
That's just
team
gonna
is
hurt.
definitely one of the they're trying to finish the race, not trying to win the race teams.
Yeah, definitely. I think they were in the middle of the jungle by the time we left them. They looked kind of lost. So we'll see how they end up in the next episode because it seems like
I think
They're
they were
the
at checkpoint 4. So I think they'd just gotten to checkpoint 4. So I think
Okay.
they'd gotten through the worst part of the jungle part, but they're definitely they're like 50 something out of 66 teams.
yeah, it's like there's 66 teams, and I think like 4 or 5 of the teams I'm going to mention are in like 50 plus place.
Yeah.
Just- there's not much to say else about Team Onyx that like their sub story is that they want to like be more representative of their culture and like it's great. Then we've got Team Bend from
Oh,
Oregon.
Team Bend.
So they were number 1 as they rode all the way across, did not use their sail to get across the beginning. And then this one of their team members, what I don't know what his name was,
Dan.
overheats and just like they pretty much stop because he's like dead.
Well, they haven't stopped yet. We got so Bear is talking a lot about the first part. They have these canoes, but there's a part where you can open up a sail. And Bear talks about like there's a trade-off. Do you want to row the whole time, or do you want to use the sail? And he's describing this. It's like, why wouldn't you use the sail? Like it just seems better. But a couple of the teams in front just want to keep rowing. And Bear asks one of them like, "Hey, why aren't you using the sail?" Like, "Oh, we can go just as fast rowing." And I don't get it. Like, you can go just as fast not rowing and saving your energy. That seems better. Like, I definitely didn't. They didn't do a good job of explaining what the advantage of not using the sail was.
No, I thought that like they said that hey, there's not enough wind, so they can go faster rowing, and then particularly for Bend, like someone on their team was like, yeah, Dan's just a beast or something. Like I don't know what they said. He's just a powerhouse.
Yeah. But anyway, like I don't see why you couldn't have the sail and row, and then you're getting like benefit of the sail and trying to give it some extra. Anyway.
Well, I mean, like to their point, you have to stop, set up the sail, point in the right direction, and like if you don't ever stop, and you don't have to point in the right direction, doesn't help you. Like I don't know.
I don't know. It seemed crazy to me. And then we had Team New Zealand didn't use the sail, and they're crushing it. And then we had Team Bend, who, like Dan, you say he overheated. Like he has like some serious heat stroke, and it's just a bad scene. Or like he's taken a bunch, like he's taken like his shirt off. His skin is looking really red, and they like literally have him on a leash. There's something tied to his shorts, and the guy in front is pulling to kind of pull him along, and it is just tough to see. And so they're in first place going into the jungle. They're almost last place at checkpoint 4, and it's like they're definitely not. They seems like they're going to be out, and it's just going from one of those teams that thought they were going to win, and now I think they're not even going to finish like the first milestone at the 3 days.
We'll see. One thing, I feel like they could bounce back.
I think they're done.
Quick side note: you talked about the Team New Zealand and Team Bend being in the front. And so they keep talking about how Team New Zealand is like the defending champions. But like in the moment, I didn't realize what the history of this show is, right? I didn't realize they're defending champions from something 18 years ago. Right?
And it's like just that one guy, I think.
One guy,
yeah. He gets all of them.
He was the captain then, and he's the captain now, and they are still Team New Zealand.
But it's not all 4 or 5 of them aren't the same.
I don't know, and I think
it's
so.
Just like some of those people were pretty young. I can't imagine they were in these competing 18 years ago.
Right. But like they keep making a big deal about how he's like the Michael Jordan of people challenges. And
he's I'm the like, Michael Jordan.
I'm like, Michael Jordan only took a year break. Like this dude has been on an 18-year break from this race. I don't understand what we're talking about.
To be clear, I don't think this is the only what they called ultra endurance expedition race. So like this is just the eco challenge. It's just like one of the majors that's been absent for 2000 years.
Yeah, I'm not sure what like the biggest like. I feel like the show didn't really do a good job of like telling me about the world of adventure racing. Right. Yeah.
Well, everyone had like a different term for it too. Like some people called it adventure racing. Some people called it an endurance race. Some people call it an expedition race. Like,
well, I think part of that is like half the people are just noobs that they're focusing on. They're just not focusing on the actual pros. They talk about that Captain Nathan from Team New Zealand being like the Michael Jordan, but then like he doesn't really talk about his life or anything. He just kind of talks about his team for a second, and then they're like, yeah, that's cool. We don't really care to know anything about your, the sport that you're actually in, and you're apparently the GOAT of.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he just doesn't know how to be reality show, like on a reality show, whereas like the US people do. They're like, oh, you want my sob story? Okay, here it is. He doesn't care to be on the show. He's just trying to fucking race. Like, doesn't want to be in any of these confessionals. He just wants to like, hey, where's the next leg of this race?
This is exactly
when did they do the confession? When do they do the confessionals for these sob stories? Because they're in this race that seemed like it seems like there's no set break where you don't race. Like you're just going for 11 days. So what? Well, maybe we'll get into this when we talk more about the production schedule. But I was wondering when they make the time for these confessionals.
Well, so Wikipedia says each of the first 4 legs finished at a camp where the team must rest for a mandatory 90 minutes.
Oh, 90 minutes. You get those confessionals in 90 minutes.
I feel like they're like mandatory rest, but like when they say rest, they just mean like, hey, give us your time.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I think there's also a good part at the beginning where you have to like do a couple days of interviews with the producers or something, and that's where you get the majority of the confessionals we saw.
Yeah, episode 1, right? But like I feel like, you know, I don't know how many episodes are in this season, but like future episodes, all the confessional stuff will be about the race that's ongoing, not about their life and stuff. So the ones we saw, but like the future ones definitely won't be the case.
I mean, I agree. I didn't like, but I didn't see where they would have broke at this point to do those confessionals for the future. You know what I mean? Like, but now that you say that I guess each like cutoff point to have a mandatory break, is that essentially what it is?
No, so this thing says like the whole race is split into 5 legs, and after each leg you have to take a 90-minute break. But then that means that's a 90-minute break every 2 days, right? Like that's what I mean. I'm not like, you know, on average, like of course they could do it like first 4 days there's 4 breaks, and then, you know, 7 days have fun. But yeah,
I don't know.
Seems weird. Like it's not obvious to me. I don't think we did a good job of like keeping track. Like we could have easily checked the clothes, right, and like seen how the clothes are looking relatively in the confessional versus the race.
We didn't do our due diligence, Rob. We weren't paying attention.
Oh,
That'd
I'm
be so
sorry.
tough. So many teams.
All right. Yeah, nothing else to say about New Zealand team other than they're the GOATs and they're number 1. We'll see how they turn out the rest of the show. We've got Team Unbroken. They're from the US, obviously. They're vets. Their sob story was the woman was a vet and she had like something happened in Afghanistan where now she's like deaf.
It's in a rocket attack.
Nothing. I don't know who else the other people are. Apparently, it doesn't really matter. They didn't have a good enough sob story to be on the show. But once they got to checkpoint 3, they decided instead of going like there's no road between checkpoint 3 and checkpoint 4. It's just a straight shot through the jungle. And they were already in last place. So they decided it would be a better idea to follow the road back to checkpoint 2, to follow the road to checkpoint 4, to backtrack back to checkpoint 5. We didn't really talk about how checkpoint 2, 3, 4, and 5 are just kind of a circle.
Yeah. So
2 and 5 are the same.
yeah. You go from 2 up a road to 3. You got to go through the jungle to 4, then back down the road to 5. But 5 and 2 are the same spot. So they're going to go 2 to 3, 3 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 2, and that's 5.
Yeah. It's a bold move, Cotton. We'll see.
Like they're saying, like, man, like this is going to take up a lot of time. I don't know if we can make the 2.5 day checkpoint. And I'm like, yeah, you're not making it. Like I feel like this is just definitely like game over. Like you're gonna get mercy ruled, and then that's it. Like I don't see how this works out.
I love how in the confessional that they have, which obviously I think is after they got kicked off, and they're like, "Why did you do this?" She's like,
Yeah.
"Well, I was deaf and I couldn't really see what they were saying, so I was just like, whatever." Like she's like, "Oh, the lights, I couldn't read their mouth." Like, just what? That's garbage. Not an excuse.
There's definitely another guy on the team who was not the captain, who was like, yeah, like our captain made an executive decision. We all got to go with it. But he was clearly like, he thought this was the dumbest idea. Like he definitely didn't think it was a good idea.
Yeah, I wonder how you feel being on that team, because like he seemed pretty young and like the rest of the people kind of seemed kind of older.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know. That's tough.
They'll be back. They'll be back with the new captain.
Maybe. Who knows? So like it doesn't like Amazon put this out. Like is Amazon gonna run the next eco challenge? Like is this going to do well enough to do the next eco challenge? Like,
Amazon
Wikipedia
Open.
lists another eco challenge upcoming.
There we go.
It says
Chile
February
event
or
to be
November.
held February or November 2021.
February or November.
That's like a huge gap. Like that does not seem like it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I wonder if the plan was February, and now with all the COVID stuff, they're like, maybe we'll wait till November. I don't know.
It has to do with probably the weather of Chile and like, well, if we can't do February, then like November is the next time you can do it.
This
This,
seemed relatively easy to do in COVID times, to be fair. Right? You like creating this bubble, like, and you know, you could maybe not, you don't have to do 66 teams. Maybe you just do like, you know, apparently like the original ones used to have far less number of teams.
Yeah.
Maybe you could just do 10 teams, get them all tested, and you know they don't really have to interact with other people.
Yeah. So our next team is Team Indoor, from the USA as well. This is the one with the dad that has Alzheimer's, Travis. And apparently, I think the dad did all the eco challenges before 1995 to 2002. So they were planning on doing this, and he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
What's the team name you're saying?
Travis.
Team Endure.
Team Indoor.
Indoor. Okay, I see.
So it sounded like what the son said was the dad was going to do it with his old team, and his son was actually trying to get his own team going. And then his dad got diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and the son decided, hey, like it didn't make sense for the dad to go with his like more intense team, but the son and the dad wanted to do it together at that point, and there was like a potential bonding thing. They're definitely in the just trying to finish. It was not clear to me if the dad's old team was in the race with someone else as the fourth person.
Yeah, I mean, this was the thing that really annoyed me about this episode is like the only teams we ever know is just like these people that have these kind of weird sob stories.
Yeah, but I think part of that is like they might have looked at the whole season, right? And been like, okay, a bunch of the sob story teams are going to get out after day 3, right?
Yeah.
So we got to cover them early, and then we can get to the serious teams, because then the serious watchers are there to begin with.
No, I know. I mean, it gets people involved. People like it. I don't particularly like it, so it's just like kind of eye rolly for me. But like, it is impressive that this guy's doing it with Alzheimer's, but like, he's clearly not late stage Alzheimer's because that would be no go. But I don't know. Who knows how many symptoms he actually has?
Yeah, I don't mind the sob stories. The bonding stories is what I hate. It's like, okay, yeah, cool. This family's close. Like, what do you want me to do with that? Right? These sisters, they like to hang out, and this dad likes to hang out with his 2 daughters, and this dad likes to hang out with his son. I'm like, I don't like families hang out. Like, what do you want from me?
Yeah, speaking of
that
which,
crazy.
Our next team we could talk about is Team India, which is like these twin sisters from India that they like climbed a mountain or something, and they're like, yeah, it's difficult for women in India. They don't see a lot of women doing crazy endurance challenges, so they wanted to show that women can compete with men or whatever, like, and that's their team, that's their story, and we got a bunch of time with them.
They have also climbed Everest, by the way.
They've climbed like the 7 peaks.
Yeah, I don't know what that means really.
There's like 7 tallest mountains or something like that, like Everest, K2, and a few others. But like, that's
yeah,
also
but I'm looking at their Wikipedia. It doesn't have K2 on it.
Oh, maybe K2's not in the 7 peaks. It would
It's
just be
not.
the 7 peaks of India, of the Nepals
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever that mountain range is called.
Incorrect. Like all of that. Like I can't believe you know so little about like Everest, but like
Well, we did
it
so
just-
little about Everest. Everest is in a mountain range, and I'm sure there's other mountains around it.
yes, correct. But like that's A, you're correct. It's in Nepal. B, you know the mountain range you're talking about here, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so like there's not 7 peaks in Nepal that people go to. There's
Yeah.
some 7 peaks that they've done I think they're in 7 different continents, and maybe that's what the deal is.
Oh, I don't know. I was just waiting for Internet Corner to come and tell me I was wrong because I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Wikipedia talks about the 7 summits, which is the highest mountain in each of the 7 continents, including one on Antarctica.
Right? That seems crazy.
Yeah, real crazy.
Yeah, I can't imagine doing that. Nuts.
Wait. A map of the 7 summits, or 9, depending on the definition. So maybe the Antarctica one doesn't necessarily count. I haven't read this whole article.
They've done the Antarctica one.
They've done the Antarctica one?
Right.
Yeah. One thing that I really kind of annoyed me about the show was like they just kept calling this Team India instead of their actual team name. I was like, there's more. There could be more teams from India. Like, what's this team name? Like New Zealand was like NZL, I think. They kept that's what their team name was in like the description, but like I like was really annoyed.
You know what? Like, well, Team New Zealand, they were just going for it. Like, they don't need their other team name.
I mean, I'm sure they have one. It's just
no. So the Wikipedia says like basically New Zealand. There's 2 teams: Team New Zealand and Team Tiki Tor. So like I think that one team actually just named itself Team New Zealand. That's like they didn't really think about it too much. They're like, hey, we're the defending champs, don't you know? Team New Zealand. Maybe like just like 18 years ago, like they were kind of stuck with names, shitty names like that, and then they were like, Team New Zealand, and then they're like, well, we don't want to change the name if we're the defending champs.
I mean, maybe they just like signed the paperwork like, yeah, we're Team New Zealand. We were Team New Zealand last time. Team New Zealand this time. They didn't know everyone else got like cool names or terrible names, but like not just the country they were from.
I think Team New Zealand's a great name.
Well, I just didn't know that's what
they're not the only team from New Zealand.
Yes, you're showing up those other teams. Like, you think you're from New Zealand? We're Team New Zealand. Go to hell.
Yeah. But I agree with Chris though that like the Team India, like it just wasn't Team India. That just wasn't their name.
No.
One of the twins says the name. It is Kukuri Warriors. I'm not sure what that means, but that was their name.
I mean, it was just confusing to me because I was like, everyone has a team name, but you got Team New Zealand and Team India. I'm like, that doesn't seem like their real team name. Well, I was proven wrong that one is Team New Zealand, but like, that's just a weird team.
Right.
Speaking of terrible team names, we've got Team Ables, which is BJ's favorite, which is just a dad and his daughters.
Maybe the mom too.
We're unsure. We're unsure of who else on this team. It's just like, yeah, their daughters, the dad did an endurance race and his daughters are there, and now they're together on this endurance.
Hadn't the dad done Eco Challenge before? And there's a photo of him with his daughters as little kids, and now they're not little kids, and they're doing Eco Challenge with him, and with an unnamed 4th person that may or may not be the mom.
And a 5th person that we don't know. The cameraman, I guess.
That's true.
That's all we got about. They're also from the U.S. We've got Team Out There. I don't remember what that team was. I don't have any notes, so we'll ignore them.
They were out there.
They're out there.
We got Team Iron Man or Iron Cowboy.
Iron Cowboy.
Yeah. So this is another team that they all did supposedly 50 Ironmans in 50 days in 50 states.
No, that's just one of them. That's just the Iron Cowboy.
Okay.
There's one dude who's
that's why I said
Iron
supposedly,
Cowboy.
because it wasn't clear to me if they all did that or one of them did that or they were all have done an Ironman but not the 50-50-50 thing.
Correct. That's the last option is the correct one. So they mentioned a few things that their team name is Team Iron Cowboy, but then really Iron Cowboy is just one dude, and so they've just named their team based on him. And
is
then,
that person the captain then?
I would assume so. I guess. No, the captain is the lady, so she's the one always talking, and she's the team captain for sure. I just looked it up as well. And then additionally, they also mentioned that they've done 122 or 126 Ironman between them. Which, like, if 4 people do 50, then there's more than that. So that's why I knew they all did not do the thing.
This is one of these things where it's like, I can say me and the Iron Cowboy, we've done 60 Ironmen between us. Is that
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. And I bet you it's actually higher than that.
Yeah, no
Like-
problem. If you did 50 in 50 days, I'm sure there's a few more in there.
Right?
So,
like
like,
he must have like done at least 20 before that. You don't like you don't
What
just
if
do
he-
3 and then he's like, oh, now I'll do 50.
What if he did 100 and then the others just did like, 5 each?
It's
mean-
totally possible.
So for people who don't know what an Ironman is, it's
Yeah, you should
fucking.
explain
It
that.
seems even more nuts than this challenge, to be honest with you. It's a 2.5-mile swim, followed by a 120-mile bike ride, followed by a marathon. It's in like just in the doing one of those things is so hard. You've never if you never swim like really swim, like 2.5 miles is long fucking time. And then you put a marathon after you've done all of that is just insanity.
Yeah.
And then to do any back-to-back days, like or back-to-back weeks or back-to-back months, it just seems nuts.
Those legs are legs of steel.
And then you throw the travel. We were talking about this before the podcast. You throw the travel in there too. If you're doing a different state every day, you also have to have time to travel to the next place. It's crazy.
Also, like the logistics of setting up, like there's not a lot of places in some states to swim 2.5 miles. Like where are you
He's
going
all-
for that?
He's also done a lot of what's it called? Half Ironman.
I think that's just half. Like you do 1.25 swim, like 50 bike.
Right. Yeah. But like it's just like he's also done a bunch of those.
Those are much more common because people can actually kind of do those. But then I was like, oh, I kind of want to know more about this 50-50-50 thing because that seems really nuts. And then one of the follow-up things on Prime Video was like a documentary on the 50-50-50. So that's in my queue to watch later.
I don't know about that one, dude.
Give us the update. in the
Maybe I
future.
will. I will. Pop that on that side TV. I think that could be good. Yeah. I don't think you have any other teams to talk about.
I got one. We had Team France who flipped their boat over at the beginning. And that was it. That was all we heard of them.
But okay, to be fair to Team France, the two teams flipped their boats at the beginning, as far as I remember. There was Team France and Team New Zealand.
Yeah.
And Team New Zealand is in first place after the first episode. So it seems like flipping the boat, no big deal.
No, it's definitely not a big deal, but like that was just like, all they had. We didn't need to talk about
I
New
did like
Zealand
the traffic
flipping the boat.
jam that the Team France flipping
Oh, yeah.
created. There was like 20 boats stuck behind them. These boats are like generally pretty large, so that like they kind of take up a lot of space.
So we start out this race with like these 66 boats, like one after the other. And clearly the one boat's closer than the last boat. Like we have in a NASCAR situation where like at the end, like if you were boat one, you've got to go the extra like certain like leg of the race. Or is it just like, oh, this thing's fucking 600 kilometers? Like, what does this 500 feet really matter?
Definitely
so
that.
I definitely agree with your concern there. How do they do that stuff at marathons?
I don't
But that's-
I don't
Same
think
question,
they
right?
care either. I think it's just like this thing's 26 miles, like whatever.
But
Yeah.
like, I have to imagine some marathons come down to like not too far,
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
right? Yeah, like
Because
it
like if
seems
you're racing on a track, like sometimes they'll have like the starting points and you'll know exactly which time in what lane you end in if they're short enough. But if they're long enough, like people all over the place. So I don't know.
Well, if you're doing it on a track, they do it so that like either they're the races where you're in your lane or where they stagger it. So then your time to come into the inner lane that's like made up for because you started a little further ahead. Like they figure that out. But like I just don't understand how they do it. Not in like on tracks.
I just don't think it's like official times. I don't know.
Like in the
I-
Olympics, how do they do the marathons? 'Cause
Right,
they have
exactly.
times
Like-
there.
Totally. Like when someone's like, I am the marathon world record holder, I think it's an official time quiz.
Get out of here. No one cares about your opinion.
Right. For like car racing, it's pretty obvious. So they do qualifying before that, right? So you actually like race in a different way to figure out where you're going to be on the track.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is any other minutia? Like, should we get to questions? Like,
Let's get the questions.
get some
Is
questions.
anyone gonna watch another episode of the show?
Oh, that's a good question. We should put that on the questions.
Okay.
I thought I was
Yeah.
gonna get yelled at for like asking a question that's on Chris's list.
No, we're always welcome for more questions.
Is that a post ratings question?
I think that's a post
Yeah.
ratings question though. So
Maybe
we'll-
that's like a included in ratings question.
Nah.
Like your
Something we
rating
talked
should kind of
about-
give it away, right? Like if you're saying your rating is above a certain amount, then it should be like, yeah, I'll watch it again. If it's below a certain amount, it should be like, well, I'm not gonna watch it again. Because if they're not correlating, then you're a crazy person.
I mean, I just don't have enough time to watch enough shows. So I put stuff in the top third and never watch it again.
I'm not saying like, but like for you, like people's cutoff might be different, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for you, it might be like, hey, only if I give like, top of the top, then I watch it again, right? For me, the cutoff might be like, hey, as long as it's not in the bottom three, I'll like whatever, like it's like time based.
Right.
All right, guys. We'll answer that question with our ratings. How about that?
All right, sounds good.
Let's start out with our favorite question, which I don't know if we've got an answer, is who's the worst human being on the show?
The dad bringing the three daughters.
Is it
No, the
like,
daughters are adults at this point, Brian. They're not like he's not bringing children. I'm pretty sure the one that was speaking, like who was interviewed, was like at least in like mid to late 20s.
is it the son with the dad with Alzheimer's for bringing the guy with Alzheimer's on this race?
I debated that one.
I'd say no, because I think he's very much like if it takes a bad turn, I think he's going to call it. Like I think he's there. It's very much like I'm here to let a look out for my dad and make sure that we're not doing a terrible thing to him. I'm going to vote for the other three people on Team Bend that are dragging this guy in a leash who has heat stroke and is dying through the jungle. I think they're the people that are really not the good people here.
I agree that those are the three people. I think you're looking at the wrong point for the data.
Okay.
I think they're the bad people when someone else makes the call not to put up the sail, fully knowing that Dan's the one doing more than his share of the rowing, because they make a comment about that he's a powerhouse.
Hmm.
They know he's doing like a lot of work, and they're making the call that he can do all the work.
To be fair, is he actually doing more work, or was that just a random sound clip the editors took and were like, oh man, they say Dan's the powerhouse, you got to put that line in, so it's like looks ironic later.
I feel like they mention it in a few different places, because then another person, or I don't know if it's the same person or not, but like a team member also says it's like when your engine overheats. He constantly calls Dan their engine,
Yeah.
right? So that this must be a thing where Dan is the power for that team. And he's like,
Maybe.
yeah, Dan's the biggest dude. If it was me, we could get, like, if it was one of the three of us, we could be carried, but like Dan's the biggest dude. So like clearly they realize Dan's kind of the muscle,
He's Bane.
and they're like, yeah, Dan can do all the work. We won't put up the sail.
I have to agree with you. Like Bear Grylls, he's fine. He's not. The producers aren't. Like, to me, like this is not like these people are leagues above other reality shows and who's the worst human being. So like, it's a grading scale based on this episode, or at least this show. Is this an upgrade or downgrade for the host, Bear Grylls?
It's definitely not the Apex. Like Apex.
Well, I think we should upgrade or downgrade
Okay.
From what?
for his career. This is an upgrade or a downgrade for his career.
I think it's pretty good for him. I think it's a cushy job. He's on Amazon Prime. I think it's pretty nice.
Like, what was he doing? Like, he had that one really popular show that's not really on anymore.
Right.
But then he had that Netflix special.
Yeah, I think this is an upgrade from that.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely way better than that. But like, he was a star. He's not the star of this.
Yeah, he's the most famous person in it. And I think it's the kind of thing where it doesn't feel like he's schlepping to be part of this. It's like it's kind of cool to be the host of a thing like this where people are competing and doing like impressive physical feats.
All right.
He's not hosting Dance with the Stars or anything right here.
I don't think. Yeah, we'll go with upgrade. I think that seems good.
Yeah, I bet you he got paid pretty well for this kind of stuff, right? So like,
How much did he
think-
get paid for backflipping off that helicopter?
No, that one he pulled an audible. They're like, please don't backflip, please don't. He's like, I'm a backflip.
We don't have the insurance for that.
They're like, I got it, don't worry.
What's the most baffling, cringeworthy moment in this episode? I think like
all the stuff with Dan
cringeworthy-
was pretty cringeworthy.
yeah, I was just gonna say that cringeworthy was him getting like undressed to his underwear, like at some point, just like oh man, cringing at the fact that he's doing that and the reason why he's doing that.
I'm going to mention the
pushing
leash
him.
again. I can't stop talking about I can't get the fact that there's a grown man on a leash is part of this show.
Yeah,
There was one family photo of a team. I can't remember which team, but like everybody was in like USA flag outfits, and that was kind of cringy to me.
I don't remember that, but yeah, that seems.
I definitely made a comment that like the dude with the speedos also had like an American flag one.
He was wearing American flag speedo. Yeah.
I actually have a different answer here. I just remember this. There was this moment where one team, and maybe one of you guys remembers which team, basically just yells back gibberish at like Fiji children.
Oh
And
yeah.
that
What?
Yeah.
I think is
I think that was the
most
vets.
cringeworthy. Yeah, I
It's
don't know.
Team
Yeah,
Vets.
maybe it's the vets.
Team
but, like,
Unbroken. Yeah. I think it
but
was
like
Team
it was two
Unbroken.
people. It wasn't the whole team. To be fair, it was two people, and they just yell back gibberish at children.
I can't believe I missed this.
I think it was pretty cringy when they like that same team decides to turn back instead of going through the jungle. Like, what are you doing? You guys are idiots. Yeah, don't do that. And thankfully they'll be off the show soon. We got favorite minor minutia. I have one. There was a scene where like people were in the middle of the jungle and one of the contestants said like, man, it's so hot in here. It's like I'm doing hot yoga. I thought that was pretty good,
That was a good one.
especially in contrast with what Dan looked like. I'm like, oh, that's not helping. He's in the middle of that jungle too.
I don't know if this is cheating because this was in the This Season On, but it was someone says they're like climbing up a cliff or something, and they're like, I don't mind climbing, I mind dying.
It's a little cheap.
Yeah.
but I'll allow it.
I think my favorite minutia is definitely just like the speedo situation. Like I know we already talked about it, but like dudes just like changing out speedos every day. And like the first speedo, since we only watched one day, he just had like a US flag speedo. Like I'm happy to bet $50 that like 5 of his speedos are just US flags in different like forms.
There's definitely going to be an eagle one where it's like over his crotch.
Oh yeah, for sure. he said something like he's a quiet and shy person but likes to be noticed, and so he's wearing the speedo so he gets noticed. And I'm like, by who? Like the other teams are not gonna really care, and your teammates, I bet you they're noticing you're one of 4 people on their team.
He's trying to become that social media influencer and parlay his success on Eco Challenge into greater fame.
Or maybe he's
Yeah,
just
I don't
trying to
think
get
there's
his
any success
email out
for
there.
him.
OnlyFans team, everybody. That's clear what it's about now.
That's true.
Or he's just trying to get his email out there, get some ladies, get some
Oh, yeah.
dates.
I don't know why you mentioned the email.
I think Chris, he's actually interested in getting the dudes, not the ladies, because he mentioned he's representing Black culture and LGBT culture.
I
He does
missed
say
that.
Yeah.
VJ, the email is a reference to what was the show called? If You Are the One.
If you're the one.
Where there was a dating show, and at the end, if you didn't get picked, your email was put on the screen. So if you liked that person, you could email them. Which is a who put this on throwback.
We definitely think like we saw this in one show, and this should be in like half the shows we watch.
Along with the podcast in
The podcast and the show and the Are You the One nicknames. These are all very. This show kind of had the Are You the One nicknames with the team names. Not quite on that level.
Yeah, but they get to pick them, so like.
I mean, that's fine.
Or kind of. Team India didn't get to pick.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I'm sure they said they were from India, even though one of the names is definitely not Indian. So I don't know what this about that guy.
Yeah. So our next question is, what's the production schedule? Mr. Internet Corner VJ that has this on Wikipedia. When was this race actually run?
Oh, I don't know.
I also have some Wikipedia stuff open. It looks like it was 2019. They ran it in 2019.
So like clearly it takes place over 11 days. I don't know how much prep work there is for like this kind of race, but I'm sure it's more extensive than you think it is.
Yeah. And then we already talked about the how long is Bear Grylls actually in Fiji situation.
Yeah. Bear Grylls isn't like, unless he's an executive producer setting up the race, he's there for like 12 days. He's there to show
definitely
up.
a producer, just to be clear.
He's what?
He is listed as a producer.
Yeah,
but that could mean a million things.
Unless you're Jeff
but I think
Probst's
he's
level.
there for all 11 days. Yeah.
Yeah, he's there for all 11 days. But like, unless he's like Jeff Probst level, like getting involved in all the minutia, scheduling and like all that stuff. Like, I don't think Amazon would give Bear Grylls that kind of access either. Like,
so do you think this
flies there on like a Monday, vacations in Fiji for like a week, and then like couple of days before the race meets all the contestants, is kind of like has dinner with them, and then like 2 days later, like the race starts, 11 days, then at the end they like might have dinner together, and then he's like, well, I'm out, that's my 20 days.
Yeah, something like that.
Do you think I had a thought, I lost it, damn
but
it.
Like, who sets up this race? We never really got into that. Like, who like make sure that you can do this? Like, is there somebody that makes sure you could do this? Or they're just like looking on the map and like, okay, well, this is like a 20-kilometer trek that people generally do, or like we can make this a 20-kilometer trek, we'll go to the next one. Like, is that like the production crew figuring that out and doing it? Or
yeah, I don't think it's that hard. Like, really, you're talking about like just not that crazy amount of preparation here. Like, at some parts they're just going through paths in the jungle and like running up a road. They don't have like a track here or anything.
Yeah, I mean, like, do they have to cordon off like this? Like, so they're canoeing. Are there like boats allowed to go through there? Like, we didn't see
Definitely
any
not.
boats.
Yeah, they
have to coordinate with
off.
the Fiji government to be like, hey, we're gonna can we block off this and like block off this, and like you got to coordinate these things, or like we want to do this. Fiji
like any shooting ever.
What?
Like whenever you shoot something not in a studio, that's what you got to do.
I mean, I agree, but like I don't think it's an easy thing. It's like, this is what we're trying to do, and you got to talk to the government. Like, okay, this is what we need to do to make this happen. And that seems like, even that canoeing part seems like there's like, I have no idea what you need to do to prevent boats from coming through there, to set up the camera angles, do all this crap. Like, I don't know. Seems like a lot. Of course,
you don't know, Chris. That's not the point of this show. You did not put this on.
What
but
if
I
you
want to
did?
know.
So I remembered my point. So in Amazing Race, they have like 2 cameramen that are like assigned to each team that follow along the teams. Do you think they do anything like that with this, or this have cameramen stationed at different spots to capture teams as they're going by? But for the most part, there's like no camera people for like long stretches of what they do.
Option B.
Yeah, I don't know. Vijay, didn't you say there were 5 people? What happened to the 5th person?
This person is at the camps to help out with the camping situation. So I think they like basically help them set up camp, and so then the team can actually relax, right? And so they're not the one putting up the tent. Like, it's just like one less thing for them to do. Maybe they're like dealing with the food and stuff. I don't know. Maybe they're massaging their feet. I don't freaking know what they're doing. But like, they're not production crew. They're part of their team.
Okay.
Right.
So
and
like when you have a team
for the Abel family, the last name of the person who's that person is also Abel. Right. So then it's not from Amazon. That person is from your team.
Yeah. When you're part of your team, but they're not the people traveling. Like, doing this crazy stuff.
Right.
But how do they get from point A to point B?
I don't know, like a car. Like, what do you want from me? Like a car or a boat? Like you just put a motor in a boat. Like the difference is like you can just put a motor in the boat, then you're done. Doesn't even have to be a good motor, just a motor.
All right. Our next question is, what show are the parents of the show, which is itself essentially,
This is God.
and then this is
No.
continuation of.
This is the parent of the show is definitely Amazing Race, and the parent of that show is this show. This is a grandchild situation.
Some kind of
I was going to
incest
say
situation.
that. I think this is
No.
like a child of the Olympics and the previous incarnation of this show. Like this is just the sob stories from the Olympics plus this eco challenge show that was from 1995.
Do the Olympics show a bunch of sob stories now? I haven't watched the
Oh,
Olympics in
yeah.
a little bit.
Oh,
You
American
can't-
Olympics are terrible.
You can't watch it.
You got to watch, like, as someone who's watched a lot of Canadian Olympics coverage, then you come to American Olympics coverage. It's unwatchable how bad the American Olympic coverage
Oh, it's
is.
terrible.
It's all sob stories and like minimal sports.
Like all you see are the Americans, whether they win or lose. And you get to find out their hometown, where they grew up. You don't actually get to see the high level play or high level talent in any of these sports at all. It's terrible. It's like you
Like,
want
I used to love watching the Olympics. I don't watch the Olympics anymore because I only get NBC Olympics and it's garbage.
All
It's
right.
just a bunch of pink eye.
Bunch of what?
Pink eye.
I'm
You
still
know what I'm
lost.
talking about?
No.
No.
Like what's the Olympics guy? What's his name?
Oh, Bob Costas got pink eye at the Olympics. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, that was like a big
Oh,
deal,
yeah.
right? He had just pink eye, like they didn't replace him, so now he's just on like national TV every day with pink eye, and it just looked gross.
I forgot about that.
All right. It's time for ratings. So it's your first time. Our ratings are based on a stack ranking system between top, middle, or bottom. So you rate this show compared to other reality shows we watched on the podcast, where you think it's a top third, middle third, or a bottom third. And we'll throw in, will you watch the next episode along with your rating? Since they're pretty correlated. And I guess I'll start out. I think that this is a top third show. I don't think it's amazing but I am very interested in seeing what happens. I think that there's like a lot of good challenges coming up in terms to see how people do like river rafting and climbing and all this and this like extreme endurance stuff is very interesting to me. So I will definitely watch another episode.
Chris, was that an Amazing Race pun?
Yeah, I was waiting for that question.
No.
Okay.
Rob, what do you got for me?
I think I'm gonna put this one in the middle. I do agree. Like, there's definitely some interesting stuff to it, and it was fun to watch. But like, it did kind of drag a little bit with some of the sob story stuff, and I'm wondering how. This is definitely one where like I wonder what other episodes are like, and I could see a world where it gets better, and I could see a world where it gets kind of repetitive, and so I think I'm gonna put in the middle. I'm kind of interested to watch more, but I know that I don't think I liked it enough that it's going to be able to crack my time to actually watch more. So probably I'm not going to watch more, but I would be interested in watching more if I had more time.
VJ, what do you got for me?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like it's just a bunch of nothing. I don't like. We watched the show and then not much happened, and I assume the future episodes will just be a not much happening. But like, there's nothing that I hate about it. So it just but like I would never put it on TV myself. So I'd say like top of the bottom. There's just no like, what's the point? Like I can just watch the Olympics. That seems better. Right? Like I can watch just real sport. Like why do I need this like sport, half reality TV bullshit where the reality TV part isn't really dialed up to be like creating really good storylines? Right? Like I just like, would I ever watch this instead of just watching like basketball? No. So then it's just a bunch of nothing.
All right. Brian, what do you got for me?
I'm gonna put it at the top of the middle. Like, I see that like not much happened, but I think that like we just got started. There are also like some teams that are all like kind of hurting. So now we're gonna get to like the real competitors. I want to watch another one, and maybe my opinion will change on that. But right now, I'm a little bit pumped to watch it. I'll probably go back and watch it tonight.
Like when that episode ended, I'm like, oh, just click that episode too. So I think for me, maybe it's just like the last 4 weeks just have been so bad. Like Seattle month was a bad month, guys. just bad.
It was a mistake.
Mistakes were made. Like, just this is a great palate cleanser.
I can see that. I can see how this is better than a lot of garbage because it really doesn't do anything that you would be like, this is garbage, right? But I just don't understand. I don't understand why this is even considered reality TV.
What should it be?
Like,
so I
the
mean,
Olympics, you wouldn't consider Olympics reality TV, and you guys constantly talk about how this is the same.
So like from my perspective, what I consider reality TV, which is not the Hubert is on reality TV definition, but if the producers set up the scenario and then film you, then that is a reality show. Okay. Whereas if you just follow along a scenario, then that's a documentary. So like the producers set this whole race challenge up. If this was just a race challenge and then Amazon was like, hey, I'm going to film it, then that would be a documentary.
So your differentiation here is that the people who are setting up the race are called producers or not? Because that's the only gap I'm seeing. Like you're saying, basically, if the IOC sets up a race, not reality TV, but now if these people are called producers, it's reality TV.
There's definitely a big difference between like, hey, we're going to set up a 5K down the street because for charity. Like, okay, go run the 5K, whatever. But if like, hey, we're going to like set up this 5K and set up a reality show to go along with the 5K, then there's a lot more different decisions you're going to make along the way to make a 5K for TV than you are going to make just for a 5K. That's the difference.
But all sport today, especially American sport, is played for TV. That's just why we
like
have sport.
Like, sure. I mean, that's why I'm saying it's my definition. This is like not like a definition a lot of people use. But like,
I actually don't mind your definition. I just don't know how, in your definition, this is reality TV. They don't make any different decisions because of the TV part. Everyone just does what they do. And they did a bunch of interviews. Again, same to the Olympics and the NBA. The NBA, if you watch like a basketball game, they constantly talk about players and their lives and they get interviewed a bunch and there's the overlay of that. Like that is happening.
Well, our second favorite conversation on Who Put This On is this a reality show or not? And, you know, this definitely blurs the line between a documentary and a reality show. But the fact that Amazon sets up this race for this TV show, didn't just co-opt a race, didn't do anything other than like they did everything for this TV show. Whereas like that like 50-50-50 thing, that was just something somebody wanted to do. Like it wasn't set up for a TV show or anything. Set up for charity or hubris or whatever. Like,
well, we don't know that.
I don't know what it was set up for. But like lots of Iron
set
Man,
up for TV.
Yeah. There's a documentary, but like I don't know, that documentary could be reality. I don't know. I was just like, from this perspective, Amazon seems to be the one in charge. So that's why it's a reality show and not like, hey, we're following cheerleaders as they compete for something. That would be a documentary. I don't know.
Did
other people
you
can
guys
feel free
watch
to
a cheerleader show on this?
No, but there was one that I wanted to do. It was just called Cheer. It was good, but it was like it was clear, way more of a documentary than this. I don't know. Usually, like this is definitely getting closer to a documentary because the people involved didn't seem to be all that selected for their sob story or reality show, like commitment. Like
yeah, exactly. That's
it was like more of like who could actually do this, but like if you didn't, I'm assuming when you sign up for this, you're like, okay, you have to do these confessionals. You might be in this reality show. Like that's like part of it. Whereas like other places, you'll sign up and you don't have to be part of like the reality show. You know what
Incorrect.
I mean?
All sports leagues in America, when you're a player, as part of the Players Association and the league, their contract has some amount of TV stuff that is part of your contract, right? Like LeBron has to show up for a bunch of like stuff because he is an NBA player and he has no way to get out of it.
Yeah, but he's not sitting at a confessional booth like being egged on by a producer the whole time. He's like sitting in front of a camera and asking him questions, which I guess is
What's the
similar,
difference?
but I don't know.
We're just gonna do
Seems
sport.
different.
We're gonna do sports month, and we're gonna rate different sports.
Oh, one thing I actually did want to
Is
think about.
WWE a reality show? Can I just ask that question?
No, because it's all scripted.
It's not completely scripted.
No, but like it's generally scripted. It's like, hey, we want this outcome, so go
Hmm.
do this. And like those are I would consider like performers. It's more like a play than it like a improvisational play. These are
I
reality
see.
show. I don't know. But back to this show, I was like, I wonder if Amazon has other cuts of this show for other markets. Like, is there an India cut where like they just focus on all the India team? The 2, 3, I don't know how many India teams there are, but
One, Team India,
like Team India?
as they like to call them.
I wasn't sure. Like, I don't know if there's other cuts for this or not. That would
I
be
doubt it. I don't think this show is like. I don't think Amazon like really put in the effort on this one for that to be the case.
It is odd that Netflix is the only one that cares about the global market at all. Like, we did that one show was like Ninja Warrior, but they had like Beastmaster or something.
Yeah,
And
that was
they
Did not
had,
do
like-
that show. Just to be clear.
We didn't do that show.
No, we talked about it many times. We kept
No.
saying we were not going to do it.
Another kind of not reality show, but it had like 7 different like announcers for different cuts of the show. So like,
But like, I don't think it's fair to say Netflix is the only one who cares about the global market. People are just solving it in different ways. So I can phrase it opposite, where Netflix cares the least about the global market because they're just trying to put the same show out with slightly different cuts in different world, whereas the other people are actually putting out different shows that are targeted to different countries, right? Now, if you phrase it that way, it sounds like Netflix is the worst of the bunch, which is not really the case at all, right? It's just like people are just trying out different things of what works across markets.
I don't know. I like how Netflix, we get content from the rest of the world. I think that there are probably great Indian shows and great like UK shows that we never get to see.
To be fair, Chris, like we've watched shows like Documental on Amazon Prime that are clearly not American shows.
That's true.
So I think Amazon. I think to Vijay's point, Amazon does care for the global market. They're just doing it differently by I think trying to show different shows that are more specifically for that market.
If you were to use my account, you would get recommended a bunch of Indian shows, and mostly movies because I end up watching more movies on Amazon Prime. So the content is clearly available there. But it's just like, it's the recommendation algorithm isn't recommending that to you at this point.
Okay. I'll concede. Anyone they want to shout out anything before we go?
Chris, are you so excited for Friday?
What's Friday?
So I don't know if people who listen to the podcast know, but Chris loves Disney live action remakes.
Oh yeah.
And so it's time for Mulan. So I'm sure Chris just count down the days.
Of all, like, I'm not entirely opposed to them. I'm just opposed to the shot-for-shot remake ones, aka Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and Lion King. Like,
Did you watch any of them?
if it's not a shot-for-shot remake, it's just a new, like it's a reimagining of the movie, then sure, whatever. Do what you want.
Did you watch any of them?
No. I have not seen any of them. I did see the Jungle Book remake, which was a live action remake. That was good.
Which one?
Whatever fucking one.
I
that
assume
was
it's the Jon
Disney.
Favreau one.
I mean, it wasn't good. It wasn't great, but it was fine. The Alice in Wonderland movie, I enjoyed that. That was also fine. Like, not entirely opposed to them. Just like the recent shot for shot remix seemed a little pointless to me.
I'll also point out I finished season 1 of Mindhunter this week, so it came out like 2 or 3 years ago, and I just finished it.
Great show.
Yeah.
Wait, are there more seasons out?
There's 2 seasons, so I got another season to go.
Okay.
The main character is one of the main voices in Frozen, so instead of calling him Holden, I call him Kristoff.
Oh, there you go.
I thought you should call him Chris.
Maybe I should call him Chris. It works on many levels.
There you go. Brian?
I started watching Cobra Kai, burned through season 1 like almost immediately. Now, it's a really good show for being like a YouTube Red original.
Now on Netflix.
Right. Because Netflix is now producing like season 3.
Just to be clear there, is it a really good show for being a YouTube Red original, or is it a really good show, period?
I don't think I've ever like known anything else from there. Like I've always heard that like Cobra Kai was good.
Is
you made
show?
that qualification.
Yeah.
But is it a good show? Is his question.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Is also
You
a good
made the
show.
qualification. I didn't make that up.
I watched the Action Park documentary on HBO Max. It was really good. It was really fun up until 2/3 through. And then it took like a dark turn, but overall it was really fun. I highly recommend that. Also, The Vow, I think, is out on HBO right now. I watched the first episode. It was really good. And Lovecraft Country is also on HBO right now. It's like a horror, it's kind of like a black horror show. Is really good. It's really cool. It's really inventive. Definitely stuff you don't see on TV a lot. Highly recommend watching Lovecraft Country if you like horror at all. I think that's VJ, unless you have anything. Basketball's on right now.
I don't watch that much basketball. I talk about it way more than I watch it.
You're just a Ringer fan, so like you just.
I've been
sucked
watching.
in.
I always try to have like at least one sitcom that I'm watching actively. So like over the last couple of months, I've been watching Just Shoot Me. It's a weird show. I don't understand how the
That's
show.
the one
ever
with
got.
David Spade, right?
Correct. It's enjoyable. It has its moments, but like, oh God, are they just like doing all kinds of fucked up shit in this? Like, it's just constant sexual harassment at the workplace. Like that's the whole show. The premise is that's it. I don't even understand. Like, if there was not that, there would be no storyline for any episode. It seems like.
Welcome to the 90s.
It's not a show for the Me Too era. Is that what you're saying?
I don't like even. It seems like it would have been crazy even then. Like, it's a little much. So that, but David Spade's pretty good. Like, I mean, like he's good at the character he's being asked to play at. The character itself is obviously questionable. And then I've been watching Fresh Prince.
I was just gonna ask, why aren't you watching Fresh Prince?
Well, so like the part of the thing is like I watched Fresh Prince when we were hanging out in the living room, but then HBO Max continues to not be available on Roku, and hence I don't really care to Chromecast it while I'm in the bedroom, so that I just go to Hulu and find the garbage on it to watch.
You should just go back to Seinfeld, the classics.
Yeah, once it's on Netflix, maybe I'll do another.
But it's on Hulu. You just said you go to Hulu.
I know, but I've already done the Hulu Seinfeld rewatch. Like I don't need to do that again.
You always need to do Seinfeld rewatch. Come on.
I've already done 2 in the last 3 years. Like I just don't.
All right. You can find us on Twitter at Who Put This On. You can find us on Facebook.com. You can email us questions and suggestions at whoputthison@gmail.com. Next week, tentative is the barbecue top. What is it?
Barbecue Rig Masters?
No. It's the one on Netflix.
Final Table.
Final Table barbecue.
Barbecue Rig Masters, yeah.
Well, Brian's thinking of Barbecue Pitmasters, which is a show we've already done.
Yeah. We'll see. We don't really know. If you have a suggestion, we're open.
I have a separate question. You mentioned the Twitter and everything else. Does this pod have an OnlyFans account?
Not yet, but we're willing to start one. We just need some incentive to start one. Well, email us if you are interested in our OnlyFans account, or maybe we could start basic with like maybe an Instagram account.
I don't think we want the Who Put This On OnlyFans account. We just want the Chris Lorenz OnlyFans account. That's the real.
Oh yeah, I don't think so. All right. Well, you can find us wherever, and we'll see you guys next time.
I don't know if I remember enough of these teams.
I wrote down some notes, but this could be a quick one.
Ryan, do you have Alzheimer's?